Today, I'm happy to be joined on the show by the courtside reporter for the Houston Rockets, formerly with ESPN Radio and NBC here in Houston, Vanessa Richardson. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be one of the many people in media that you've interviewed.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words and was really excited when I heard the news that you're going to be the reporter for the Houston Rockets this season. I want to know how did that job kind of come about? Did the Rockets ask you, or did you kind of reach out to the Rockets?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the Rockets and the Astros are obviously on the same network, AT&T Sportsnet, and I was already filling in, doing some pre and post game for the Astros. So I was already working part time at AT&T Sportsnet while I did my ESPN radio show. So yeah, that's what it was. And obviously, Kaylee did an amazing job when she was here. I followed her closely while I was at Channel 2. And, she had a very rare opportunity, which is where, her personal life and her professional life match up. And she has a fiance in Cleveland, and there was an opportunity with the Cavs. So she took that. And I was already part-time at the network, like I said. And so they brought me in and said, we know you love basketball, because I'm originally from Indiana, where, basketball is everything. And, would you be interested? And I said, absolutely. So it moved pretty quickly. And luckily I already knew the Rockets PR people and some of the front office people. So it was a pretty, I've been in Houston 3 years. So it's a pretty easy transition. So yeah, I'm really glad that it all came together.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really great to see. And I had Kaylee Griffin on the show as well back in May. I think she also
Yeah.
does a great job, and
Awesome.
yeah, she's really good. And I think you're doing a really great job as well this season. And before you became the courtside reporter, did you watch, most, if not pretty much every single Rockets game? Did you follow them quite
Yeah.
closely?
I covered the Rockets. So I came to Houston 3 years ago and spent 2 years as the weekend anchor at Channel 2, the NBC station.
Mhm.
So when you're at a local news station, you cover every team. I mean, I traveled with the Texans, so I covered probably mostly Texans and then a lot of Astros, because they're always World Series. But we covered the Rockets too. And when I got here 3 years ago to work at Channel 2, that's when James Harden, Russell Westbrook, so I covered a lot of Rockets. And then, like I said, my focus at Channel 2 was a little more Texans. So I did a ton of NFL. But yeah, I was definitely familiar with the Rockets, definitely watched. And I worked for the Indiana Pacers when I was in college in Indianapolis. So, I grew up an NBA fan. So it definitely felt like a natural fit. And it's cool to see where the team's going.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, they're a really young group, and I think they're a fun team to watch, honestly. And how would you say, how is the work and experience so far working with the Rockets? How has it, I guess, lived up to your expectations?
It's been beyond my expectations. And I'm not just saying that because I work there. Everybody is so nice. It's a really, like you said, a young team. So they're very, willing to talk to media, and just really fresh and still excited about the league, which I think is awesome. And then beyond that, the front office folks have been so welcoming. And, the people at AT&T Sportsnet who I work with, the producers there, Craig and Ryan, everybody's been great. So it's been, it's a tough industry, but when you get a job that you love and you like who you work with, it's pretty much all you can ask for.
Yeah, I think that that definitely sounds amazing. And Craig Ackerman, had him on the show a while back. He's awesome.
Uh,
Everyone within the Rockets is really great. So I mean, they given me time, you've given me time. So it's been, I can definitely see where you're coming from. And the Rockets, they're 4-3 in their last 7 games. It seems as if they might be slightly turning the page a little bit. They got a win against the Suns on the road. That was huge. They just beat James Harden and the Philadelphia 76ers in double overtime. So based on what you've seen, what do you think is, I guess, changed for the team over the last few games?
well, we had practiced today and talked to Steven Silas and Eric Gordon and a couple other guys, and they see it kind of as team chemistry, as things coming together. Not every young team in professional sports has talent. And this goes for NHL, MLB, NBA. There are some young teams that don't have the talent or something. The Rockets have talent. So I think it's them playing together. It's experience. It's them learning the ball movement and how to make that flow. I mean, I love the guys that come off the bench. Ryan Hollins named them the Goon Squad. Tari, Oos, and KJ are fantastic. So I think they're all just learning how to play together more. It's part of having such a young squad. You know, we're going to be 25 games in, I think, tomorrow in San Antonio. So that's just kind of part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that the fans need to understand is that it's hard to win it in the NBA, and they're such a young team, so it's going to take time for them to, I guess, play to their full potential. Because I mean, you mentioned it; they have a lot of talent on this team, and you've had a chance to get a feel for this Rockets team. What would you say is their mindset, and what is the team kind of like in the locker room?
They're great. They hustle. They hustle. They play to the point of exhaustion, especially guys like, Bruno Fernando, the physicality he brings, KJ Martin and Tari coming off the bench. Like they'll talk about how, like, I remember KJ saying, it's your job when you come off the bench to observe what's happening in the game and to fill the gaps where needed. And so they hustle, man. They work hard, and they're nice guys. I'm with them all the time. I'm at every practice, every shoot around. I travel with them. So, that relationship is important, and they've been nothing but great to me. And yeah, so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. That's really great to see. I think when you're a reporter for the team, you pretty much become part of the team, and it's pretty cool. And I think the general vibe among this Rockets team is obviously very young, but I mean, they
Yeah.
seem to be a fun team. What have been some, like, if there have been like any funny moments at all so far?
Yeah. I mean, I think just hearing more of their personalities in the locker room and, them getting to know each other. There's a video that Slam posted on Instagram today, and the Rockets have it on their Instagram as well. And it was during media availability with KPJ, I believe. And there's Josh Christopher with his phone. And at the end of media availability, he says, "Hey, I don't have a question, bro. I just want to tell you that we love you, blah, blah, blah." And you can see me look behind me because I'm like, what media member is saying this? And then I realize it's Josh, and I start laughing. So just little things like that, that they definitely get along. They definitely, and they are young. So they're into the same stuff. They're into the same music. They're into the same culture. A lot of them played against each other growing up in middle school and high school on these travel ball teams. So it's really cool to see that come together among young, talented guys, for sure.
Yeah, I think I remember watching that video. That was really awesome seeing Josh Christopher like that. Yeah, that was cool. I really like the team. They may not always get the results we want on the floor. I mean, so far, but I mean, they're a fun team, and they're just going to keep growing. And I think Jabari Smith Jr. is definitely someone that I've kept my eyes on. He's obviously the third overall pick this season, and I think he took a huge step forward in the right direction recently, averaging about 12.6 rebounds per game, but he had 16 points and 11 boards versus the Sixers. And he's only 19 years old. I'm actually a couple of months younger than him, and I'm a big fan of him. And where have you kind of seen some improvement in his game?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about him, and Steven Silas has said this at length, is defensively, he's way ahead of where rookies are. I mean, he gets it. He's a fighter. The thing that's impressive about Jabari to me is he's not afraid to talk about what he's trying to work on. He's not too good to receive criticism, and he wants to be coached. And so I love the rookies. I mean, I think Ty Washington's going to be amazing. He's making insane plays in the G League. I can't talk enough about Tari Eason. I think he's old school is the term that I use. Old school hustle, old school competitive. He plays to the point of exhaustion every game. He is hard on himself. And then Jabari is the third overall pick for a reason. He's fantastic. He's already making a difference. That double overtime game against the 76ers, where he made some of those clutch shots and, again, was clutch defensively, is huge. And so I love the rookie class so much. And Jabari is certainly leading the charge there, and is impressive. He really is.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jabari's been great, and then Tari Eason, he's been really good. You mentioned the hustle. I really like players that give it their all and put a ton of effort. And I think we've seen that from Tari Eason another first round pick, and I think he's played really good. And obviously, Jalen Green is, I guess the front and center star, you could say, of this team. And to me, he's
Yeah.
a true superstar in the making. I think he's very consistent. That was, I think, the huge step. We want to see him being able to consistently put up maybe 25 points per game was what we want to see. And I think one thing that people have noticed is that he's pretty honest, I would say, in interviews and what the team is trying to do. So, what are your thoughts on Jalen Green overall?
Refreshing. Honesty is always refreshing. It's always refreshing when guys don't give you the, standard polished answers, which I totally get why guys do that. Completely understand, but that raw, honest emotion from Jalen is really refreshing. And look, he's growing. He's growing, and he and Kevin Porter Jr. call each other twin. They say that they're twins. They're just leveling up. They're learning how to be leaders. They're still like 22 years old. I mean, they're so young. Especially to be leading a team, but every opposing coach that I've talked to, Steve Kerr from the Warriors, Doc Rivers from, the 76ers, they have nothing but good things to say about Jalen and KPJ for that matter. So the growth is really cool to see. And, you can get into specifics all day long when you talk basketball, but whether it's pick and roll situations, whether it's defensively, I know Jalen really wanted to grow defensively. He told me that on media day. He said he hit the weight room in the off season specifically to get better defensively. So, yeah, I mean, it's beyond impressive. And it's one of the reasons I say, like, it's not just because I work as a sideline reporter. They have talent. So they just need to work together and mesh together, and then they'll get to where they want to go.
Yeah, for sure. I think defense is a huge part of it, and really glad to see that Jalen has that mindset. Defense was a big struggle for this team last year, and just want to see them continue to improve with that. And one thing is that Rockets fans, I guess, throughout the season or a couple of games back, they were really frustrated with head coach Steven Silas, whether whether it's like the lineups or the rotations. They're just, I guess, some are not fans of his approach. I think Coach Silas to me seems like a really great guy, and it is tough trying to handle a young team like this in the NBA and trying to get wins. But what are your thoughts on, I guess, the complaining towards Coach Silas?
I, first of all, think Steven Silas does a great job. I think he's an incredible guy. His dad was also just had such a great reputation and still has a great reputation in the NBA as somebody that taught a lot of younger coaches. And I think he does a fantastic job. Everybody obviously is entitled to their opinion. And I, as somebody that is traveling with the team and works in conjunction with the team, would never say anything negative. But even if I wasn't with the team, I think he does a great job, and he's leading the team, like we said, through them being young, building chemistry, learning how to not only be NBA players as a whole, but the specifics of the team and what their role is on the team. It's not an easy task. So I don't have a message for people that are complaining, but I think that the Rockets are on the right path, and I think Silas has done a great job.
Yeah, I think he does a great job kind of drawing up plays when they need him to, and it's a growing process, and it's gonna take some time, but I think we are on the right track with him. And I think Josh Christopher is someone that I guess more fans want to see play this season. He hasn't played too much. I think he's a very talented player. He can score quite a bit. I personally want him to get more playing time. Is there like some like injury concern with him, or what do you think is like the specific reason as to why he may not be getting as much time?
So I can't talk about things like that. Like I told you, it's just not, I can't get into those things. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I just had to ask, but yeah, so I would still love to see Josh Christopher. I think he's a really great player, and
like he was at last night, he was at Jalen Green donated some time and some resources in the Fifth Ward, and was able to revamp this huge basketball court. And Mayor Sylvester Turner was there. It was awesome. Josh was there to support Jalen. So Josh is definitely loved on this Rockets team, and is another young guy that I'm excited to see develop, and then I'm excited to see continue to grow as an NBA player. His family is all hoops all the time. His older brother played as well, and he's got quite the shoe collection. Josh Christopher has probably the best shoe collection I've seen since PJ Tucker. So yeah, Josh is great.
Yeah, I remember PJ Tucker. He had like so many shoes. I can't even remember. So that's pretty cool to see with Josh as well. And I think another favorite with the Rockets is Alperen Sengun. He's been making some pretty impressive plays so far, and people want to see him, continue to get more minutes. And he's made some great plays. What do you think's impressed you? I would say the most about Alperen Sengun.
He said at the beginning of the year that he felt like he needed to prove it this year. So it was something along that line. I think his ability to adjust has been huge, and that chemistry that he's having with Jalen, the chemistry that he's having with the other guys, I think is impressive. And you're seeing a lot of those Turkish basketball player qualities in him. He played on Eurobasket this summer, and Steven Silas talked about how much that upped his game. So very impressed with him, very impressed with his development. And yet another young guy, other than Boban, Eric Gordon, who are in their 30s, and then Garrison, I think, is 26, and Jay Sean's 27. So, I mean, this is like a really young squad. So yeah, I mean, Alpe's another young guy, but Rockets fans love Alpe. There's not a day that I get on Twitter that I don't see some love for Alpe.
Yeah, 100%. He's a super awesome person, and he's a great player. He's going to definitely be, a cornerstone of this team for many years to come. And I think Kevin Porter Jr. is also another player that we would love to see him be like a cornerstone player for this team for many years. People, obviously, fans are wondering whether he should be playing point guard this season or, different position. But I think he has a lot of strengths. He has a lot of great potential with this team. I absolutely love what he's bringing. And what specifically do you think his strengths are?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when I asked Doc Rivers about him 2 nights ago before they played the 76ers, I think Doc actually said it. Obviously, future Hall of Fame coach most likely said it better than I ever could, which is his maturity. His demeanor is better. His shot selection has improved, and he's learning how to be a full NBA basketball player and lead a team, which is not an easy thing. So, look, he's trending upward. And the thing that's one of the many things that's great about Kevin is he'll be really honest about his journey and about how he feels better now mentally than he ever has. And, yeah, I have a lot of respect for KPJ, not only as a basketball player, as a person, but just that maturity and that development has been something that other head coaches have taken notice of as well.
Yeah, I think his story is pretty impressive, pretty inspiring. And just love that the Houston Rockets were able to bring him on this team. And, he's definitely flourished, and would love him to be a Houston Rocket for a very long time. And, we're just really, really excited, about this young team and what they've been doing. And I know you've been in Houston for some time working. Obviously, I saw when you were with KPRC and then with ESPN Radio, now with the Rockets. I want to know how you kind of like deal with all the different things that you do. How do you kind of manage all those things?
No, that's a good question. I was at NBC Houston, KPRC Channel 2 for 2 years, and then a little over 2 years, and then ESPN Radio for February, March, April, May, June, July, 8 months, I guess. And then I'm with AT&T Sportsnet / the Rockets. So it's a lot. It's all about, to me, it's all about time management and, looking for those pockets when I can go home or when I can have some of my friends or family come in town and they can crash with me at my place. But it's funny to, like, I always tell people the Rockets dictate my schedule. Like the Rockets dictate, the shooter, and I don't just do the games. I go to the practices and the shoot arounds as well. So the Rockets really dictate my schedule. And yeah, you just have to go off of that. It'll be the first time this summer will be the first time ever that I have an off season, because when you local news, you work every weekend, every week year round, other than when you take vacation. And same with radio, 5 days a week. So it'll be interesting. Now I will do some Astros, but it'll be interesting to have a month off. I haven't had a month off from working since I began working at age like 16. So it'll be really cool to have a little bit of an off season for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. And personally, I think it's really awesome to work in sports. And like, I think you're doing a great job working with the Rockets this season. And
Yep.
I think it's been great to see what you've done so far in your career. What would your advice be to someone like who wants to be a reporter, who wants to, I guess, report games in their future career?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. I think what I always say is it's okay to have specific goals, but keep an open mind, because there's so much now. There's sports betting shows. There's podcasts. There's being a team reporter, like NFL teams have team reporters. There's what I do, which is sideline reporting. There's what I did, which is radio. And then there's still good old local news that's your best guarantee to kind of move up. There's a lot out there. So have specific goals, but keep an open mind. You may find yourself doing something now, 5 years from now, that doesn't even exist right now, because media changes so much, whether it's a show, an app, a podcast, whatever. So there's a lot out there now. Work hard goes without saying, but I always say, keep an open mind, and then just remember that you're not too good when you're starting out. You're not too good for anything, but also nothing's too good for you. If you get a great opportunity right out of school, run with it. But if you have to grind it out for a couple years, that's what most people have to do. So, try to keep a balance and realize that not everybody gets a big break super quick. And yeah, just keep an open mind. There's so much now. YouTube shows, it's things that were not around 10, even 5 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's what's pretty impressive about sports media and sports journalism, is that there's so many opportunities that are available, and just trying to keep a growing mindset and be open to all kinds of opportunities. Like, personally, for me, I've always wanted to be like a play-by-play announcer, but I guess being able to interview so many people on my channel is definitely, I'm definitely really happy to interview and keep being like an interviewer at some point. So,
Yeah,
like,
you never know when that opportunity could come up for you to do play by play. And then maybe, like I could see you doing this, but then also doing play by play for one of the colleges or one of the high schools in Houston. Or you can do, like, so many people now have multiple jobs in the industry. So yeah, it's really interesting, and the sky's the limit when you have a good work ethic like you do.
yeah, well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the time. I think think this was a really great interview, so really appreciate it. And really enjoyed chatting. Best of luck for the rest of the Rocket season, and I'll tag you when I post this interview, so hope you can
Yeah.
give a retweet as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your time, and best of luck to you. Let me know if I can do anything else for you.
Of course. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.